So good evening and welcome back to Excelsior Academy. So today we'll be doing and studying how to purify the cells and their parts. So when we talk about their parts, it's actually we're talking about the organelles which are present. So sometimes you might be interested in studying the lysosomes or mitochondria or chloroplast. So how exactly to purify these organelles? Because once the cell is being ruptured, there are so many cytosolic proteins are there, so many organelles, nucleus, everything is there. So we don't want the entire mixture. We just want specific organelles or specific proteins. So for that, we are going to discuss today how actually to carry out that process. Okay. Now, so based on this, so first property is the density of your cell. So suppose you want to differentiate RBC and WBC. So someone has given you blood and now you want to separate into RBC and WBC. Now how you're going to separate? The best example or the best property to be utilized will be the density of the cell. Now why it is going to vary? So we all know that because the RBC doesn't have nucleus. Okay, so we know that initially when it is called reticulocytes, it is having the nucleus. Now once it matures and becomes the RBC, red blood cells, there is no nucleus. So what will happen? So now you tell me whether RBC or WBC. So which one is going to have more density? What do you think? Which one is going to have more density? Any guesses? Yes, Mahima, what do you think?
Ma'am, your voice is not clear.
My question is, among RBC and WBC, which one of the cell is going to have maximum density?
WBC.
Yes, very good. Be confident you are giving the correct answer only. Very good. So the answer is WBC because RBC doesn't have the nucleus. So based on the density, if you're going to spin or otherwise called centrifuge, what will happen? So at higher centrifugal speed, what will happen is your WBC will be seen at the pellet and RBC you can see on the top. Okay, so as compared to RBC and WBC, WBC is going to have the maximum density, so it will be seen as the pellet. Okay, so this is how you can separate your RBC and WBC. This is just one simple example. Now, the another method is to use the flow cytometry. So, flow cytometry, even if you have got the thousands of different types of cells together, so this technique has the ability to purify each different type of cells into different vials. So even if you have 1,000 types of cells, it has the ability to differentiate into 1,000 types of cells. Okay. Now flow cytometry, it identifies different cells by measuring the light that they scatter. So what does it mean? It means that whenever you're passing the mixture of cells, so each cell, they are so the light will be falling on them. Okay, so monochromatic laser light will be falling on them, and the light they scatter, each cell what they scatter, and the fluorescence that they emit uh, as they flow through the laser beam, it will help in the sorting out of the cells from the mixture. Okay, so even if you have got millions of cells will be there. So depending on the light they scatter and the fluorescence they give, they will be separated. Now FACS, it's the fluorescence activated cell sorter. It is called fluorescence activated cell sorter. So you're using the property of fluorescence in order to separate the cells from thousands of other cells. Now, for example, if an antibody specific to a certain cell surface molecule is linked to a fluorescent dye, so what we are saying, we have got the antibody which is specific to one particular molecule, it is linked to fluorescent dye. Any cell bearing this molecule will bind the antibody and will be separated when it fluoresces in the FACS. So what does it mean? You have got the cell and on the top of it you have got certain proteins. To this protein you have got your antibody. This antibody is again tagged with your fluorescence, a fluorescent dye. Okay. Now, when it is passing through and the laser is falling, okay, laser is falling, some sort of fluorescence it will be given. So, depending on the fluorescence it is providing, it will be separated. Okay. Now, this will be more clear once we see the figure. Now, look at the figure over here. So, this is very important technique. So, it is, if any doubts are there, you can ask me in between itself. Okay. Now, first, so it is the fluorescence activated cell sorter. Now, you see, you have got the cell suspension. So, this cell suspension is, you can either get from the tissue, you can have bacteria also, or any kind of sample from animal or plant you can have. So, depending on the cell surface protein, you are going to have the antibodies, and each antibodies will be tagged with the fluorescent dye. Okay. So, you have got the cell suspension, then sheath fluid, so that the each cell will be migrating from the machine as single or individual cell. Okay. Now, so you can see that different color cells are passing. Now, this different colors means either few cells are fluorescent, few are non-fluorescent. So, depending on the fluorescence, the color of the cells has been given. Now, what you see is the scattered light detector. So, you have got over here the laser. Okay, so it will be filtered and condensed, and it will be passing through the nozzle over here. And you have got the laser beam. Then whatever the light is being fluorescent or scattered by the cell upon passing through the laser beam, so it will be collected by the detector. Okay, I repeat, you have got the cell suspension over here. It is passed through the machine. Okay, fluid has been added so that the cells can move individually. Okay, one single cells can pass through the nozzle. Now you have got the laser beam which is passing through these nozzle. Okay, now each cell is going to have its own fluorescence as well as the scattering of light. Now, each scattered light will be detected by the detector, and you also have the fluorescent detector over here. Okay. So, as we see, a concentrated suspension of labeled cell is mixed with the buffer so that the cells pass single file through a laser light beam. So, it means single cell it is going to pass through the nozzle. Okay. Now, both the fluorescent light emitted and the light scattered by each cell are measured. So, please remember, this has been asked before also. So, what kind of detectors are present? You have got both fluorescent detector as well as the scattered light detector. Now, from the measurements of the scattered light, the size, shape of the cells can be determined. Okay. Now, it has been passed over here. Now, what is happening is, it is giving certain charges. Okay. Yes. So, let's come over here. Now, what is happening? Now, the suspension is then forced through the nozzle, which forms the tiny droplets containing one single cell. Okay. At the time of formation, each droplet is given negative charge, which is proportional to the amount of fluorescence of its cell. So, this is also important to understand. So, whenever it is passing through the nozzle, each droplet, that is, each droplet means one particular cell is present. So, each cell will be given certain negative charge. Now, if it has got the more fluorescence, it will be having more negative charge. Less fluorescent, less negative. No fluorescence means no charge will be given. Now, since the charges are given to the cells, now it becomes very easy to separate. You have got the cathode, anode, and the no charges. So, depending on the drops having the charges, it will be now separated in different container. You can see that droplets with no charge and those with different electric charges are separated by electric field and collected. Now, it takes only millisecond to sort each droplet. So, you can carry out 10 million cells also, and it will take only 1 hour. So, in this way, the properties can be used and to separate your cells. So, what you can see over here, all these droplets are having certain negative charge. Right. Now, based on the cathode and anode, you can see that the cells are getting separated. Now, if suppose the cells are having no charge, what will happen? It will be collected in different container. Now, drops with lesser charge. Lesser charge means what? Less negative charge or more of positive charge is there. So, it will be collected in different cells, and drops with greater charge, that is more negative charge, will be collected in different. So, all these cells will be sorted depending on the fluorescence they are getting or they're emitting. Okay, so depending on that, each will be given the a negative charge on the cells. Is it clear? The facts is clear? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, so this is what we are discussing. So one example is given. So the FACS procedure. So commonly used to purify different types of WBCs, each of which bears on its surface one or more proteins. And we have got the specific respective monoclonal antibodies. Okay. Now, basically, like for our cases, like in the research where I was working, so what we have done is we have also taken the spleen of the animal. Okay. So the animal, what we studied is mouse, small mouse is there, so we use that. We take the spleen of the mouse, and what speciality of that mouse is that we have induced the cancer. Since it is the cancer lab, so we have induced the cancer in the mouse, and now we want to see what kind of immune cells are present. Okay, once the induction of cancer has been started and it starts progressing inside the body, that is, progressing means it is going to metastasize now. So I want to learn like what kind of immune cells are getting more expressed, or what will be the differential expression of these immune cells, what proteins are getting more expressed. So for that, what I'll do, I'll sacrifice the mice, I will sacrifice the mouse, I'll take the spleen of the mouse, and that will be homogenized to get the cells. Now these cells will be transferred to the fax machine. Okay. Now, since already in the market, the antibodies of the known cell surface proteins are available, so I will be using the mixture of the known antibodies. So depending on the known data, I am going to get my information like what kind of immune cells were present in the spleen of the mouse, which I have sacrificed for my study. Okay. Now, coming back to over here, only the T cells of the immune system have the both CD3 and Thi 1.2 proteins on their surfaces. So now if suppose I want to separate the T cells from all the other immune cells, what I can do is I can have two antibodies labeled. So whenever these two antibodies are present and two color will be there, two antibodies means two fluorescent color will be there. Let us say green and red is there. So whenever the fax machine is detecting both green and red fluorescence, it is going to take that particular cells and separating from the mixture. So whatever at the end I'm gonna get is going to be only your T cells. So I can make it very specific, the separation of these cells from the mixture. Okay. So what in the case of Mafax we do is there are certain small magnetic beads are there. Now these magnetic beads are coated with the monoclonal antibody, and these antibodies are going to be specific to the surface proteins present on the your interested cells. So in this case, it is the T cells. Now, only the cells with these proteins will stick to the beads and can be recovered from the preparation by addition to a small magnet on the side of the test tube. Okay, so let's see how the data of facts looks like. So this is how you will get. So for your exam also, this is the image you get for your facts. So there are part C questions based on this. If you have got the question paper, previous question papers are there. If you go through them, okay, so there is this part C section is there in which you get all those experimental based questions. So believe me, this exact same figure has been asked, and the question was this only. So what kind of cells will be separated? What is the principle behind this? Okay, so same figure was there, only the name of the cells were changed. Instead of T cells, they have used some other cells. Okay, so now you see this is how the facts data looks like. So you have got the y-axis and the x-axis. So what do you see on y and x-axis? The fluorescence of the surface protein. So on y-axis you have got the Thi 1.2, the green fluorescence. Okay, now these are the logarithmic scale they have given. So each exponentially it is will be increasing, because we are not dealing with one particular cell, we are dealing with the 10 to thousands of millions of cells. So obviously the number of cells which the machine is going to detect will be in hundreds and thousands. Okay, now for example, spleen cells from mouse is reacted with the fluorescence tagged monoclonal antibody green. So green they have used for the CD3, and then red they have used for the Thi 1.2 surface protein. Okay, now as you pass these spleen cells from the fax machine, so what will happen? the intensity of the green and the red fluorescence emitted by each cell will be recorded. Now, when you see this graph, what do you understand from here? So this has been divided into 4 quadrants. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4 quadrants are there. So this axis you have got the green fluorescence, here you have got the red fluorescence. Okay. Now, when you see over here, these ratio, these cells are there. Okay, this second quadrants are there. So you see that on the first quadrant, only green fluorescence are very few. Can you see it over here? Over here, only 4 cells you have seen having the green fluorescence. It means what? Only the 4 cells were having the Thi 1.2 tag protein. Okay. Now, whereas in this quadrant, let us say this is the second quadrant, you see that there are many cells which are having the both green and red fluorescence, but the magnitude is how much? 10 raised to 0 means what? What is the value of 10 raised to 0? Any idea? In maths, when we say 10 raised to 0 or any value with raised to 0 means the value is 1. Okay. If I say 5 raised to 0, it is 1. If I say 100 raised to 0, it is 1. Okay. So, if you see over here, you see that 10 raised to 0, 10 raised to 0, both green as well as red fluorescence is coming in this quadrant, right? So what does it mean? The number of cells which is showing green and red is very less. Are you getting the point? The number of cells which are showing only green fluorescent or red fluorescent is less. 10 raised to 0 means hardly 1 is there. So there are very less number of cells which are showing the green and red fluorescence. So it means what? They are the non-T cells. Okay. Now, when we talk about over here, so as we keep on seeing the number of increase in the red fluorescence, we saw that there are few cells which show only CD3 specific fluorescence. Here we saw Thi 1.2 specific fluorescence. Okay. Now, if you see the other quadrant over here, this one, we see that we got high expression of the green as well as the red fluorescence. So both green and red fluorescence is there, and we know that green and red is for CD3 and Thi 1.2. We also know that on T cells, both of these surface proteins are present. So whatever is being collected is now your T cell. So this is how your data looks like in the facts, and this is how you interpret the data. Is it clear to everyone now? Rinki Bhaima, clear? Understanding
Yes,
the graph is more important rather than studying how the machine works. Okay. So if you understand how the graph you can interpret, then it is easy to answer any kind of question. So thank you for listening. I hope you like the video. So please share and subscribe, and share with your friend circle also. So let's study together for the upcoming exams. Any comments and suggestions are also appreciated, and any queries are there will be solved quickly. You can also write to us on Excelsior Academy 1228@gmail.com. Keep watching, keep excelling with us. Thank you.